G'day guys, this episode is brought to you by Kratzmann's RV Super Centre out of Burpengary.
Burpengary, mate.
Mate, motorhomes and caravans, they're the only destination you need to go to. You don't need them. For 40 years,
One-stop
they've been
shop.
selling. That's it. And you say to me, you want to tow a caravan somewhere? I just say go to Kratzmann. That's it. Now listen, don't miss, we're getting to the end of the year, financial year, so you've got roughly 21 days till this end of financial year sale is over. So pull your finger out. Go out to Burpengary. Give them a call. Kratzmann's Caravan. Tell them you love Kevie, you hate Dobbo, but you love inside balls.
Inside balls to go.
Inside balls to go. And look, they will look after you. They've got the biggest ever sale taking place at the moment, up to $20,000 of some new and used caravans and motorhomes. Not all of them, but there is up to 20 grand of them. Go out there, give them a call. Burpengary's a destination. Kratzmann's RV Super Centre out there at Burpengary. The best caravans, the best motorhomes. Mate, why would you shop anywhere else?
Righto, welcome back to Inside Ball. We've got our Origin review this morning, Kev, and round 16 preview.
Hey, the cover dust.
Mate,
what about that last night, mate?
Mate, I like through the first half, I'm thinking, geez, I can't believe I get to sit next to Kev on the couch tomorrow and unpack this. But then it was a very, very stressful second half, and I was up late trying to bring the heart rate down. But
I think a lot of Queenslanders were up and very nervous and anxious about that even the last 2 minutes.
I know, mate. It's growing up through, like I'm 30 now, so growing up having the H straight, you sort of just have this feeling deep down that no matter how far Queensland are behind, that they're going to come back and get it done.
Yep.
And last night I almost had that feeling the opposite. Like the team that New South Wales had on paper just had me still at halftime I wasn't sure, and then when they started to come back, I was very nervous.
Normally in those games when like Queensland had a great lead at halftime, if they're next to score, you know that just
nail in the coffin.
Yeah. But they weren't next to score. They didn't score in the second half.
No, it was terrifying.
They didn't score a point, but still just managed to hang on. They're desperate defence. It was great defence on their try line to hold New South Wales out. And I've got to say, Billy Slater, we need to congratulate him on some of the selections that he made, some of the decisions that he made around the team. He's been proved right in this game. It was well done to Billy. He was under a lot of pressure, wasn't he?
Big time, yeah. I think the players stood up for him. Like one of the biggest calls he made, obviously Munster captain. I know you spoke about it Monday, but I don't know if you were listening to the call, but as they were running out onto the tunnel, Munster just had this look in his eye, and I was sitting there thinking, and then Lockie, I can't remember exactly what he said, but Lockie in the commentary just had a little giggle and said, Munster's up for this.
Yeah, he looked at that steely look. He normally runs out with a big smile on his face, but he had that steely, and I always look in the dressing rooms when I can, they have vision of the teams, and you know, I looked at New South Wales and I thought, okay, they're ready to go. And I looked at Queensland and I thought they lacked a bit of energy, or maybe they were just really focused on the job at hand. But the start to the game was really good, and I knew from the outset that first set was much better than game one, and we're into it. And unfortunately, New South Wales did score first, didn't they? Which maybe been in hindsight, it's probably a blessing for Queensland because it made us really focus in even more, and I think New South Wales just took the gas off a bit and thinking, we got these blokes, they can't play.
Flat track bullies over in Perth. Yeah, that's it. Mate, I think they might have been listening to you on the Monday podcast. You said Munster's going to get out there and lead by example, and then the forwards need to pack their working gear and be physical.
Well, they had their work boots on, didn't they? And they were nice and physical as well. Terrific job done by all the Queensland forwards, and it's great. That's how you win these big matches, though. Your forwards. We all know that. It's easy talking about it, but it's much harder, saying it and doing it. So, great job by the Maroons. I thought Tommy Dearden was a standout for the Maroons as well. We know Munster got the man of the match, and rightly so. But Tommy Dearden, he was well supported. Munster certainly, and looks like that number 7 jumper will be his now. That Queensland one for as long as he wants it. Let's hope that Tommy can stay in that jumper for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a bit about Dearden. Like, I feel like we had quite a few nice players, and Munster's always, a bit flashy and everything, and Tommy may have not have got all the praise that he deserved. Like, do you think he was a big part of that victory last night?
Huge part of the victory, yeah. He was in a lot of the good attack stuff that Queensland did was based around him and how he straightens the attack up, which then frees up, the likes of Munster. I thought Harry Grant was very good as well in the night. He was unfairly criticised about you can't win a game. You've had 4 starts at hooker. Well, He's had 5 starts at hooker now, and he's out of the blocks.
I think he made 55 tackles.
Yeah,
or
he
something
topped the
I saw
tackle
last night.
count. Yeah. So well done to H. I got angry through the week, and I called him through the week. I probably shouldn't have, but I called him. There was some media going around about he's none from forward starting. Like, Harry's the best hooker in the world. And last night, because our forwards did their job, he got to showcase his skills. He put Munster over for a classic try. That was typical Melbourne Storm stuff, you know, but transfers up. It transfers up into Origin. It was great little connection play, and it really set the scene. That was a big try for Queensland. And the one right on half-time with Capes. Cape, well, keep your cape on, son, because how good did Capes go?
What a masterstroke from Slater.
No one should be questioning him ever. Because,
ever.
You know, I've had
especially in a maroon jersey.
Well, in any jersey.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing for the Warriors. Look what he did for the Broncos. Look what he did at Penrith. Look what he did at Cronulla. He's done it at every club he's been at. So it's no fluke that, you know, he comes back in. His body was a bit banged up, but he seems to be fixed that up now, and he's running freely. He's somebody's defence. Amazing stuff, Kate.
He just looked like he could have kept going and going and going. Like, unbelievable.
And to see him, the sheds after the game with his little new baby boy.
Sammy Thaiday had him in tears.
Yeah, he took his jersey away or something.
I think it was the microphone.
The microphone, that's right. Yeah, he's playing with it. So good on you, Capes. We salute you today, my friend. We salute all the Queensland boys. I got the old jersey.
Yeah, I love that, mate. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I found this one down the bottom of the cupboard. So it's going to the top of the cupboard now for Game 3 when we win it in Sydney.
Yeah, it's going to be
How
big.
good would that be?
Going to be big. I was going to ask, I've got my jersey on today for people who are listening and not watching, but surely you've got some gems in that cupboard of yours. You have to bring them in next week to show the listeners.
Oh, yeah, well, there's some winning jerseys there, some losing ones as well, Das. Yeah, look, I managed to keep most of my jerseys. I didn't give too many away. I'm going to give them to all the kids and that as well. It's a real treasure. And I feel really proud to be a Queenslander. I mean, we're always proud to be Queenslanders, but when Queensland wins, and particularly the way they did last night and the way they hung on, just makes you bounce out of bed and look forward to a great day today.
Big time. Sun's up. It's a beautiful day in Queensland.
It's great to be a Queenslander, Das.
Mate, I wanted to ask, Slater said in the post-match presser something about Capewell and people were talking about his missed tackles or something like that, and Billy sort of said stats aren't everything, and when he looks to bring players in, it's about their behaviours on and off the field. And what do you think having someone in the team like a Kurt Capewell would have done for that side?
I've seen firsthand the work that he has done at the Broncos, you know. He's all about effort. And, you know, people say that Origin's won on effort, not talent. Well, you can't win an Origin game unless you've got talent. But it's when the talent works hard, that's where you get the great result. And Capes is a highly talented player, very skillful. You know, he can play centre, back row, admirably. He can play in the middle. He's played on the wing. So he's a very clever footballer, but just a good, hard-working, typical Aussie Queensland bloke. You know, and what is he, 31 or 32 years of age? To come up with that performance was, you know, magnificent. And just on Billy's comments around that, yes, certainly. Stats can sometimes misjudge people on things, and you know, I know with Capes, his effort areas are unbelievable, and the work ethic that he brought to the Broncos alone was amazing, and it's all based around effort. You know, and he mentioned that through the week when one of our reporters asked him, "Oh, you've got more missed tackles in the game than anybody else playing on Wednesday night," and he said, "Well, that doesn't bother me." He said, "You know, a lot of those misses are on effort areas, kick chase, kick pressure, those sort of things, and also work from marker, you know, pushing players sideways at marker into other defenders." So, yeah, you'd have Kurt Capewell in your team every day of the week because he's one of those guys, and he's got talent. He's a good footballer, and he works really hard.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, he was unbelievable last night. Another bloke who I thought maybe flew under the radar a bit much. I was having a quick look at the stats last night in terms of tackles and stuff, but Val Holmes seemed to come up with a few really big and crucial hits in defence when we needed it most, like almost game-turning hits.
Well, that, again, was a decision that was being questioned, you know, putting him at centre. I think he's a great player wherever you put Val, you know, and I thought, you know, last night in particular, his defence was really good. Crichton got through him on one occasion for a try, but, you know, I think across the 80 minutes, he was very good in defence, made some critical decisions defensively, which you need to do. You've got to make decisions, and they've got to be instantaneous, and then not only make the decision, then back it up with executing the decision, which he did really well.
Yeah, I thought he had a blinder.
Well, we didn't have a bad player, Dust, did we?
Yeah,
Really,
no.
1 to 17. Paddy Carrigan was good when he came on off the bench. Only got 33 minutes, but that's okay. He'll be fresh for Sunday now for the Bronx. But
I thought Cotter was massive as well.
Cotter was really
And
good.
Collins, like again, list goes
Lindsay
on. And on.
Collins. We didn't have a bad player, so it was great to see, great to watch. It's great to be a Queenslander.
Bloody oath. It's always great to be a Queenslander, but especially this morning.
Yeah.
We talked briefly, Game 3 down in Sydney. Do you think Billy, like, if all goes to plan and no one pulls up with an injury over the next couple of weeks, do you think he'll make any changes for Game 3?
No,
or?
I think he'll stick with the same 17, or same squad of players. There may be some, it's rare that you get to Game 3 and there's not a change or two. We saw that with New South Wales. I think they'll stick to their squad as well. Listen to Laurie Daly after the game. He was pretty disappointed. He felt that that first half of theirs, was just 8-0 penalty count, which he questioned from the referee. Unlucky, Barry Gomersall, we've had him before, we'll get him again.
Yeah.
Hey, so you got to make the most of those opportunities, and I thought Queensland really did, make the most of having the big flow of possession. So they'll be better for Game 3, though, both teams, in Sydney in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be a cracking game.
Yeah, it will be. I was going to ask you about the penalties. Like, the number one thing I've seen online overnight is all the Blues talking about the penalty count and things like that. I think the same thing. Eye gouging and elbows, like, you know what I mean?
You just skipped over that bit, did you?
Exactly right.
The facials, and that was brought up in the press conference as well about the facials, but I think that happens a lot at that level. There's a lot,
They're a bit more lenient almost.
There's a lot on the line,
yeah,
isn't there? And the state against state, and even some teammates were belting into each other last night in clubland.
Which you love to see.
Oh, it's great to see, And I played against my team, Chris Johns and Lazo at state of origin level. Michael DeVere was he was another one, and it's certainly different. But when you put the jersey on, for a reason, and you're playing for that colour. So if it's got a blue. Anything blue,
doesn't matter who's in
attack.
it.
You have to attack it.
It's funny being a Broncos fan. Every time Payne Haas has a hit up playing NRL, it never seemed to put him on his back. And every time he got the ball last night, I was like, "Oh, just put him down, put him down." He's an absolute handful.
Oh, he was good for New South. They had some good players too, didn't they? New South Wales, and Payne was probably in their top 2 or 3 players. He's just so hard to handle. He's a big unit, but unfortunately on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Last night, thankfully. Lomax didn't pack his right kicking boots.
Well, that's the other thing all the Blues are complaining about. Oh, if we could have kicked, you could have won. It's like, if we had scored 5 more tries, we would have beaten you by 50.
Well, that was the mindset of some people, but not of their coach, Laurie Daly. He dismissed that and said, look, I know we missed some goals, but that wasn't our problem. Our problem was our discipline, our lack of discipline, and our execution at different times. So they'll learn from it. Certainly the Blues will, and Queensland will get a lot out of the game as well. Can both teams play better? My word, they can. If Queensland can maintain that 40 minutes for the second 40, and likewise if New South Wales can start the way they finished the game, it's going to be a cracking game in Sydney for Game 3.
Is there a thing that you could put it down to that the Queenslanders can look to do to maintain that first 40? Like, was there something you think they were lacking in the second half?
Well, it's maybe it's a little bit of attitude, not attitude, but just you get comfortable when you're leading like that. But you should never get comfortable. And I feel like the messaging obviously was very good from Billy at half time, but if we can be next to score, that really does put the knife into your opposition. But New South Wales managed to score first, and that gave them the confidence and to get back into the game. And just watching the game from home, it felt like that New South Wales were going to come home and win. Especially with
shocking feeling in the stomach, wasn't it?
Oh, it's terrible. 20 minutes to go, and they're playing some good football, the Blues, and we sort of just come up with a couple little errors and a couple little defensive lapses, and but anyway, thankfully they held on, the boys, and it was a great win, and great for Cameron Munster as well. First time as captain to get the win up.
Man of the match as well.
Match.
Yeah. I think there was a few players who I was thinking Capewell was up there for man of the match, but you can't argue with Mark being
he was
his
brilliant,
first
mate.
captain. Yeah. But you're dead right. Like I think that's what Origin's all about. Like at home sitting when I was watching it, every error that we made was like, oh no, head in hands, edge of the couch, and then they'd come up with an error and I'd be up off the couch yelling. It really was like
it was terrific, mate.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's
why we love Origin.
Yeah, exactly right. There's nothing quite like it. All right, Kev, before we move on to round 16 of the NRL, I've noticed, I've been through the team list this morning, and there's quite a few boys backing up. There's some that aren't backing up from Origin, but we've got some vision here. I want to know. I want to know if you think this will impact the preparation for any of the players heading into the round of footy.
It certainly won't, mate. This is Alfie at his best. That's the team song. Aye, aye, ippy, aye. It was started right back in the Mal Meninga era when they won 8 in a row, and they didn't really have a Queensland team song, and Ippy Ippy I, Alf just made it up out of nowhere, and look at it now. Just the good thing is you don't have to know the words to get involved, mate.
I think I know them.
Yeah. Well, we keep it simple and Ippy, but look, Alf, this is where Alf comes into his own. This is his time and his space to celebrate, and we know even the 6 more songs at the Caxton as well. So this is where Alfie comes into his own. He's a professional celebrator, and he does a great job when Queensland win. He makes sure he gets the boys right up and ready. Some of these boys will have a few beers, but they'll back up all right.
Yep.
A couple of beers, won't hurt them.
On a Wednesday night. A few hours sleep on the flight home, they'll be right as soon as they land.
Yeah. So look, I think it's great to celebrate your wins, and certainly Queensland have been known for doing that. So well done to the boys, and well done to Alfie for leading the charge.
Yeah, good on the field, but looks like he's better off it.
Even better off, the celebrator.
Before we head into this round of the NRL, mate, there's a game on tonight, and there may be a young halfback that Broncos fans, or a young half that Broncos fans will be paying close attention to.
Kobe Black, he's a good young player, very good young player. He's been playing in the Queensland Cup for South this year. He's only young, he's only 19. But look for him tonight. He's Queensland's captain.
Yep.
He played in this game last year as well. So, and Queensland got beaten last year. They'll be looking to reverse the scores there. But some great talent on show from both teams, and in the women's game as well, the under-19. Some terrific talent from both states. And we've got some good football on again tonight. Origin football again. These are the future stars of State of Origin. Mark my words. And I've been fortunate enough. Das, I coached Queensland under-20 for a couple of years, and Munster was in that team. There's been Valentine Holmes was in that team. So there's been 5 or 6 at least more players that have in those sides that have come through. Corey Yates was another one that have gone through and played State of Origin football. So look for some young stars tonight. We'll be there in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, as a Queenslander or Bronco, I'm very excited to look at it. Obviously, it's looking like Reynolds is going to extend at the Bronx, and if we've got this young fella coming through as the next crop, pretty exciting times for someone.
He'll be ready to go in a couple of years' time for sure. He's nearly ready now.
Yep.
But it won't hurt him, being patient, biding his time, and he's, I'm sure he'll play well tonight because he's got a lot of talent.
Yep, exciting times. Looking ahead to the NRL, we've got
what have we got this week? Some big games, eh?
Huge games, lots happening, especially for our Queensland teams, which we'll get right around. But first up, we see the Raiders taking on the Tigers. And speaking of young talent, Jed Stewart looking to make his debut for the Raiders.
Yeah, I watched the vision of him getting his jersey on debut from his mother, and his brother presented the jersey, and then his grandfather was in there. Old Les Stewart was there as well, and his grandmother. So, yeah, Ricky's been very patient with Jed. He's very conscious of, not playing his son too early. I know there's a lot of noise around father-son relationships, and I can vouch for that one with Billy. There's always pressure. But Jed's earned the right. He's earned the right. He's played some good football in the New South Wales Cup. He's a big, strong young fella, and I know that Ricky consulted very heavily with his senior players and his playing group and all those people that he trusts. Am I making the right decision here, putting Jed in? And yes, you are, mate. Let him go. Unleash the beast. He's a big, tall fella and a try scorer as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him make his debut in the Raiders colours. It's going to be very exciting for the whole family.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Raiders fan, I feel, at the moment as well. Wow. Great time to be debuting. Seems like there's a massive groundswell support for the club.
That's right. And they're off the bye, aren't they? So be interesting to see how they go, because sometimes the byes that can be a negative on teams when they're rolling nicely and playing good footy, but I feel like they would have used their time pretty smartly, the Raiders. And I'm going to tip a Raiders win here. I just think that the green machine is well and truly greased up and ready to go.
Yep, I'm with you. I think the Raiders will get it done, but it should be a great game, and I'm excited to see the young fella make his debut.
Let's hope he gets a try. Eh?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe that can be our sneaky. He's not in the multi for the week, but maybe that can be our sneaky little,
little side
fun
one,
play.
maybe.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on, we've got the Wars taking on the Panthers.
Yeah.
Now, there'll be a few boys backing up for this game, looks like it, after Wednesday night.
No.
Sorry, no one's backing up.
The Panthers, well, it's a big ask from the NRL. We've spoken about this before. For those players to go from Perth to New Zealand, right, and back up just, 2 or 3 days
Yeah.
post-Origin. So Ivan Cleary has said, look, no, you boys fly back to Sydney. We'll get the job done over in New Zealand as best we can. So, they've got 5 State of Origin players missing, which is a big ask for the Panthers. So I expect that, Capewell's not even playing either.
No, I don't think so.
He's been wiped out as well. So Kurt Capewell will miss this game, but I think the Warriors have got they've got enough depth there, and particularly at home, they've been one of the form teams. So I expect them to get the job done, against a weakened Panthers. I just think they got too much. Wade Egan makes his comeback as well for the Warriors, so that's an even bigger positive sign for them. They've been very consistent all year. I expect them to get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. Them and the Wars and the Raiders. I wanted to ask, mate, about the backups. How important do you think it is to give some of these big players a rest during this,
Well, if you can rest them, I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's tough, I guess, because of how tight, we spoke about it on a Monday, how tight the table is, and there's a lot of teams who are desperate for points. But I guess what happens if you don't give your boys a rest? Will teams pay the price for that later in the season?
Well, yes, and my big concern was the risk of injury when you double players up. Now, we know that Nathan Cleary's got a groin problem, hasn't he? Because he
wasn't kicking last night. I heard he was visualising his kicking in the captain's run. Didn't even kick a ball.
So obviously, there's a slight problem there for him. So not playing, he probably wouldn't be able to play anyway. But not backing them up, I think, is really smart. If you can, then the Panthers don't really have that luxury of points in the bank, but they're banking on getting through the Origin series and then coming home really strongly with their draw and with the talent that they've got. So, I commend Ivan on making the decision. Obviously, he would have consulted his players, but I think it's a good decision from
big ask, especially with that big flight and travel over there.
The flight from Perth to New Zealand's a bit hard to manage.
I'm sure we'll hear all about it on Monday, but I spoke to Dobbo today, and I think he had quite a unpleasant experience on the way over.
Oh, did he?
With someone leaning back in front of him, reclining,
so he's filthy. Worse.
And it was someone in the media. I don't know if he's going to name him, but it's
he
quite
won't
funny.
Name him.
So look forward to hearing about that on Monday. Mate, moving on, we've got our Finns, the Mighty Dolphins taking on the Knights. Huge game. The boys have got a head of steam up, rolling. I think they're going to be too good for the Knights, but what are your thoughts on the game?
Certainly. They've scored 158 points, the Dolphins, in the last 3 games. So their attack is just really, really on fire. They smashed the Cowboys last week. What was it, 58-6 or something?
Yep.
I think that their momentum will continue to build. They're building nicely, aren't they?
Very nicely.
They've got some injuries there too, but they seem to, just keep, Felice Kafusi is suspended this week, so someone else, I think it's Kerr's come in, hasn't he, into the starting side. So, they're playing some good footy. Their halves have been really good. Farnworth's been outstanding for them. Just every player just doing their way. That game's over in Perth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So I'm not sure if the Hammer is going to back up.
I think he's named. I think he's named. I imagined he'd back up. But I think I was going to ask you how important this little period is for the Finns. Like, as we said, they've got their momentum up. Largely, they're not too affected by Origin. I know they do have a few injuries outside of that. But they've got the Knights this week. If they can string a few games together, it's pretty exciting as to where they could fall.
Very exciting, yeah. They could push their way into the top 4 if a couple of those teams, drop a couple of games. But for me, it's just they just got to keep winning, and then everything else will look after itself. Bradman Best makes his comeback this week for the Knights, so that's a big inclusion for them. I guess the Knights have been struggling a little bit, in and out of form. Kalen Ponga, I would expect to back up as well, so he'll be a good in for them. And Dom Young, who played
the
for
prodigal son,
who played for the Roosters last week, is now playing for the Knights over in Perth. So new colours for Dom. That's a good signing for them too. I think they lack a bit of depth through injury, on their outside backs, and he's a good one for them to pick up. So don't underestimate the Knights, but I think the Dolphins have got too much over in Perth.
It must be quite a strange feeling mid-season changing clubs and teams. I know he has played there previously, so it'd be somewhat familiar, but have you had any experience with boys coming or going this season?
Well, I haven't really. This is all new the last couple of years where players can change clubs mid-season. We've seen a couple. Well, Lockie Galvin was a big one a couple of weeks ago, and now Dom Young. There's a cut-off, isn't there? I think it's the end of July is the cut-off where you can swap clubs. So, we've seen a little bit of. I'd never experienced that as a player, not mid-season. Certainly, not in my time as a player or coach, but it's a big one. It's a bit in for them.
Yeah, interesting to see how he goes.
And the last time that these two played I think it was round 2 or 3. The Dolphins got rolled by the Knights.
There you go.
The Knights. So, Dolphins fans get excited. But
Fins will be up, I reckon.
Fins will be up.
Fins will be up.
Whatever
the hammer. Yeah.
Fins will be up, mate.
Next game sees the Storm taking on the Rabbits. I think Storm too strong just for that outfit, but should be a good game of footy.
Yeah, good strong game. South always try hard. They've been in most of their games, but some injuries have rocked their season badly. Maybe I see that Campbell Graham and Cody Walker both named in the extended squad. Whether or not they can take the field, and Keon Kalolamatangi is named as well. I thought he had a busted eye socket, but we'll see. They're going to need all their players on deck, against the Storm, who their players, I would imagine, will back up. That game's in Sydney, so you'd expect most of their Origin players to back up. And the Storm, I think, are just waiting there like a tiger in the jungle.
Ready to pounce.
Ready to pounce once they get through Origin. They can get some consistency in their game. They're one of the favourites for the competition, aren't they? So, I expect him to have too much for South.
I think Munster's going to have his tail up after last night as well. He
he'll
sort
be
of
full
lives
of running.
off that sort of stuff.
Alex Johnson, little interesting. Yeah, he scored 93 tries in 96 games at Accor Stadium. So if you're like a bit of a bet on try scorers, get on him.
Include him as well. Weekend. There you go. We've got a couple of sneaky ones to play with on the side. Mate, the game everyone that's coming to this podcast for, the Broncos Sharks on Sunday at Suncorp Stadium.
Cracking game, Dust.
Yep.
I think, particularly with Reece Walsh back in the side last week, the Broncos looked at a totally different team. Just the energy that he brings, to that back and that fullback position. He's no frills. He's no fear about him. He'll throw 40-metre passes. He'll chip kick. He'll grubber. He'll try 40-20. Just love the energy that he brings. He's not 100% fit, but enough to get him through last week's game. I think with him at the back, Ben Takura has gone in for surgery, hasn't he, on his syndesmosis of the ankle? So he's out.
Painful.
Yeah, very painful. And the big matchup in the middle, Payne Haas against Adam Fanua-Blake. That's a big one. Big Payno will be backing up from Origin. Worth the admission price for that for the big men.
Yeah.
Going at it.
Hopefully they turn out on Suncorp. If it's a day like today, it's going to be a glorious day for a game of footy.
Yeah, just be careful, Broncos supporters, because the Sharks have won their last 3 games at Suncorp Stadium. So that's one side of it. But the other side is that Brisbane have beaten the Sharks in 9 of their last 12 encounters. So a bit of a good team for the Broncos to be playing, Sunday afternoon football. The Sharks have got a pretty good record at Suncorp and also on Sunday afternoon. So the Broncos need to aim up and play well, which I'm sure they can. Jordan Ricky playing his 100th game for the Broncos, so well done, Geordie. It's a good start to your career and 100 games in. Good to see, mate. Congratulations.
I think we talked previously about how important this period is for the Dolphins, but I think so too the Bronx. Like hanging in the bottom of the top 8 there. I really think the boys need to string a few wins together here.
Oh, well, winning's everything, isn't it? This time of the year. Origin period, teams, got a few injuries and the like, and you've got to back up from Origin. Most teams have got players backing up or not playing, so this is a point where you can scratch a couple of wins in here, put you in a good position, in a month's time.
Yep. Looking forward to it. It should be a blockbuster. The second game on Sunday, Cowboys-Roosters. Now, I was having a quick look at the table this morning. I think if all the Cowboys, Bronx and Finns all get up this weekend, we could see 3 Queensland teams in the top 8.
Right. Well, I'm expecting the Cowboys to bounce back from their dismal showing last week against the Cowboys. They got their Origin players back and a couple of players back from suspension as well, so they're nearly full strength. I know that they got it back up from Origin, but little flight from Perth to Sydney, it's easy. It's done, mate.
They got a few extra days as well, being a Sunday game.
They have, but sometimes that extra days, your body gets a bit sorer. So it'll be interesting. But the Roosters, well, they've got players backing up as well. They got 5 involved in the Origin, 3 for New South Wales and 2 for Queensland. So I expect the Roosters with their depth. No Walker again, he's out. He's out for about a month. But they've gone back to that halves combination of that got them some wins, about a couple of weeks ago. And Sandon Smith, I like him in the 6 jumper. I think he's very good. And Hugo Savala, they've got a good little combination happening there. So I think, I'm not sure on this one, Das. I think the Roosters look better on paper, but I just want to see some fight from the Cowboys, which I expect to see as well. So maybe they can sneak a little win there.
Do you think maybe like a few of the Cowboys players from last night will draw some inspiration from the Queensland victory last night?
Well, everybody loves watching State of Origin, whether you're involved or just a spectator or a fan. So yeah, particularly those Queenslanders, up at the Cowboys, they'd be loving watching that game last night, and I'm sure they'll be up for it on Saturday night or Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, could be a good game. Should be a good game. To finish off the round, the Eels take on the Titans.
Yeah,
and we've got your player on the move, Kevie. Thanks to Kratzmann. The end of financial year sales on at the moment. You can save yourself up to $20,000.
Yes,
at the RV Super Centre up in Burpengary.
Well, get on the move up to Burpengary and save yourself a heap of money before the financial year ends. But also, Dave Fafita, he's the player on the move. He's named as the 18th man. I believe he'll play.
Yep.
I believe he'll be in the side in the 17. I don't think he'll start. I think he'll come off the bench. It's great to see Big Dave. I love Big Dave as a player. He just brings so much, and when he's at his best, that's a huge in, for the Titans. Now
they're favourites. Titans are favourites.
They are. Well, that's on the back of their form last week. Without Tino, without Mo Fotuaika, right? They'll drop back into the side, but also Parramatta without Moses and Brown. Brown's suspended as well. So a new halves combination for the Eels, which means, the Titans can win. Certainly can win. They've just got to bring the good attitude that they had last week, on the Gold Coast. Pack that up and take it to Sydney with your boys and get a win for the Titans. That'll be 2 in a row, which I don't think they've done all year.
I'm just going to have a quick look at the table. I think they're obviously in last place, but they're currently sitting on 12 points, and 8th is the Roosters on 16. So only 2 wins away from the top 8.
Everyone is still in this competition, and the Eels are coming 16th, and they're 17th. So if they do win, that catapults them off the bottom of the table as well. So it's a huge game for the Titans and all their fans. Come on, boys, get it going.
Get around them. We do love our Queensland teams here. Now, Kevie, no luck with our bets. All season,
really.
All
season. No, we're going to have to maybe get some exterior help. Or are you going to chip in?
Yeah, well, I've put one together this week that I think is worth getting behind. I'm a Broncos supporter, and I hate betting on the Broncos.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Do you feel like you jinx it a little bit?
Well, I don't know if I jinx it. I hate if the Broncos say I needed whoever it is, Reece Walsh to score a try, and the Broncos win by 50 points, but Walsh doesn't score. I'm sitting there going, if only Walshy scored. You know what I mean? Like I don't need that. So
okay, that's good. So
we're staying clear of the Bronx game,
right?
But looking at the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins going to have a big game. As we said, bit of momentum heading into this part of the season. I'm tipping the Dolphins head to head. Herbie, anytime try scorer.
Yeah, Herbie always scores, doesn't he?
Bostock, anytime try scorer. I think that combination on the edge is unbelievable.
They've been flying, haven't they?
Yep, unstoppable. Bostock should have had 5 last week.
Should have had 5 tries. He only needs to get 1 for this.
Exactly right, and that'll get you $4 this week. So that's my tip. Hopefully, I can go 1 from 1 and then fade off into the shadows.
Straight into Darcy's got it. He's hosting the show now. He's lining up.
Tipping winners, hopefully.
Tipping winners, yes.
And Kev, you were looking at all 4 Queensland teams.
I was looking at all 4. I think this is the weekend. With Queensland winning the Origin last night, all 4 teams can get a winner. And so I got the Dolphins over the Knights. That's on Saturday afternoon. Then on Sunday, the Broncos to beat the Sharks at Suncorp Stadium. Put that down. The Cowboys to beat the Roosters. Ooh, that's the big one that we need to get up. And also, I think the Titans can beat the Eels. So the 4 Queensland clubs to get a win up.
About $9, I think.
It's about $9. Okay, well that's a good price because Queensland's the place to be and the team to be at the moment.
Exactly. It's great time to be a Queenslander. So looking forward to all those games this weekend. Mate, to finish off, we've got a few questions for Kev here through our Instagram. I actually heard someone talking about this morning. I'm trying to think who it was, but basically asking about where Munster's performance last night ranks. The question says, where do you rate Munster's performance in Queensland history? And I can't remember who I heard talking about it this morning, but they were comparing him to the likes of Wally Lewis, like stepping up on that stage.
It was a huge step up, big step up from Cameron Munster. A lot of responsibility for him, but he's an old pro. I think that was his 20th game for Queensland last night, so it's nothing new to him. He's been, we talk about Cameron Munster, and I was very fortunate to be coaching Queensland when he made his debut in Game 3 of 2017. I think he got the man of the match that night as well. So, he's a brilliant player and different type of leader to some captains where a lot more talking. He's more action, and he was he ran the most metres of any Queensland player last night. So that tells me that he's on his game, he's playing well and challenging the New South Wales line. So, it was a terrific captain's knock and one of the best we've seen at this level.
Yep, hopefully he's got a long captain's career ahead of him in the maroon jersey.
Yep.
Do you think the forwards brought a different attitude to match their captain Cameron Munster last night?
Yeah, 100%. And we spoke about it all week, well, the press did, and we did in our podcast as well about the Queensland forwards just stepping up a little bit to give Munster a bit of space, give Tom Dearden a bit of space, because they're very good players, very classy players. And so, the New South Wales forwards were, while the Queensland forwards went up, they probably just came down a little bit. Maybe not complacency, but just getting a little bit comfortable with winning the first game. So, yeah, I think the Queensland forwards really well last night, and they were a huge part of why Queensland played so well.
Big time. I think this one's a bit harsh, but do you think Ponga will be dropped, Hammer or Walsh to fullback?
No, I think Billy will stick with Kalen Ponga. I thought he did some glimpses last night that we haven't seen from him with his attack, and I thought he did enough to hang on to the number 1 jersey. He's a good player. He's a world-class player, and we know that he can play better. Sure. Well, let's give him the opportunity to play better in Game 3.
Yep. Who do you think has the momentum after Game 2? Obviously a Queensland win, but New South Wales coming in with a wet sail there.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll impact Game 3?
I think it will certainly impact Game 3. Winning form is good form, and the Queenslanders will take that to Sydney. We just have to wait and see the makeup of both the teams. 2 weeks is a long time in rugby league, and lots can happen for both teams. So, but at the moment, coming back from Perth, you'd have to say the Maroons have got the momentum, but I did see that New South Wales are still the favourites to win Game 3 to wrap up the series. So
right where we want them.
Right where we want them, mate. It'll be an interesting couple of weeks leading into Origin to see what happens and what transpires with the shape and the names of the players who'll be playing in Game 3. No doubt there will be some changes through injury or suspension, but hopefully both teams can stick to the same 17, and we get, as I said earlier in the podcast, a cracking game in Sydney for Game 3.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think was the best aspect of the Munster-Dearden combo?
I just think that the variety of the way they used the ball, I think, and defensively they were both very strong as well. But just their combination, I felt no one tried to overplay their hand. They were both, heavily involved in lots of good things about Queensland. So their combination was really good. Now, you'd expect that to get even better, for Game 3, because that's the first time that they have played together. So you would expect, and knowing the quality of player and person that both of these lads are, they'll get better for Game 3, and they'll need to be for us to win Game 3.
Absolutely. That pretty much wraps up. There's one more. I was going to leave it off, but I can't sit in the corner and let Dobbo throw pot shots at me, so I'll sneak this one in right at the end. Aiden says, can Darcy replace Dobbo permanently?
Most definitely, as we've seen so far. Look, Darcy, you've done a great job, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Look,
Appreciate
you can see
it.
the rapport between you and I already. It's a chemistry and a combination that works brilliantly. So, Dobbo, you might be coming
yourself,
off the bench, mate. You might be coming off the bench.
No, Dobbo back Monday.
Next Monday for the review.
We'll have our round 16 review, so be sure to tune into that. Kevie, thank you very much.
Up the Queenslanders, Das.
Up the Queenslanders. We'll see you Monday.